universe is calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to SkyTour Radio. It is I, Mark D'Antonio, and over there we have Tara, and down there we have Daryl. How you doing, Tara?
Hi, good to see you. Hi, everyone.
Tonight I'm getting a strange feeling of deja vu. How are you, Daryl?
I'm good, thank you. Hello.
Great to see you guys. Yeah, it's been a crazy evening. I'm glad that we got started. I want to thank Bill, our producer, who came on to help us get going here. Bill Skywatcher, always
Bill.
helpful. Bill was with us in Arizona for the first time in his life, and to say he had a good time, I think is not an understatement. I think he had a really good time. I think he could have done without, the spiders and the things like that. Okay. But we did give him the heat. Yeah. But we did give him a lollipop that had a scorpion in it. Live it was dead scorpion. Yes, it was a scorpion pop.
Nice.
Or as they say out there, a scorpion sucker. And I think he enjoyed it.
You can't eat them.
Well, it was apple, so I don't know if he ate it. He should have.
Edible.
Yeah,
I wouldn't eat one.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
Just like crickets,
Yeah.
And if you look in the lollipop, what they had in there, they actually removed the stinger off the back of it, which tells you that they meant for you to eat it. And there's other.
No, thank you.
I mean, that's like eating fugu sushi. That's the stuff that'll kill you.
That's right. Fugu fish.
Right.
Puffer fish, yeah. Yeah, I don't know about whether the scorpions can, will kill you. And I know that the southwestern ones won't. They give you a nasty sting, but if they pump in the venom, that's when. I don't know if you ingest it by swallowing it, whether that would actually do the same thing. I think it has to get in the bloodstream. But Tara knows because she knows all about scorpions.
Well, we did practice desert survival when we were children growing up here in the desert. But that's like a last source is to eat the scorpion. So, I just don't think about it.
Yeah,
but I would if I had to.
And I think to myself saying, I'm just going to starve. Thank you.
Yeah, I know you think that.
Until you're in that state where you're so hungry that even a scorpion looks like a delicacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it happening.
It has some moisture in them, so you need it.
Well, it took a long time to get me to eat sushi. How about you, Daryl?
I don't like sushi either. I won't eat sushi. Mm-hmm. But as the French gastronome Briat Savarin said, hunger is the best sauce. So if sufficiently motivated, maybe I would.
I think if you're on a raft in the middle of the ocean and the fish jumped into your boat, you would tear into that thing like no tomorrow.
So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you'd be eating raw fish saying, this is the best thing I've ever had, scales and all. Gross. But you know what? We do think about it, don't we? So anyway.
Mind over matter.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, we just got back from New Mexico and Arizona. And New Mexico, I went to speak in Roswell. But after I spoke in Roswell, it went very well. We ended up going west, and Bill Skywatcher, our producer, was with us. And we went to the Very Large Array, currently named the Carl Jansky Very Large Array, after Carl Jansky, famous radio astronomer.
Cool.
And it was just amazing. And it's really cool. And before we get to that, I just want to tell you a little bit more about what the lure of the desert is, okay? We actually have... This broadcast is brought to you in part by SkyTour Livestream, which is our desert telescope, which is right here. Okay. It's in a building out in the desert. We have an all sky cam, and we take people on a nightly tour of the night sky, and we show them amazing sights, including this door. Actually, this door was made by our very own Tara. There she is right there. She's the artist that made this door. And it's all bottle caps, guys. And oh, I don't know. All those colors are the natural colors of the cap. And this is right about the time when Daryl should probably toss out his guess for the count of the bottle.
1,326. And I know it's still wrong.
It is.
Who's the nerdy guy in the picture?
I don't know. I can't stare at his legs. They're too white.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But going to the business end.
Little low,
of it,
Daryl.
Inside, here again is Tara looking at the telescope. She's actually doing some work on it, and we're doing some troubleshooting. Now and then we need to do that. And all of our cables are bundled up nicely. They're off the floor. We do cable management pretty substantially well, but we just can't. If the telescope moves around, you can't have it tugging on the cable to unplug it. So we have to really put it through its motions. And sometimes, though, even with its hardware, sometimes hardware fails. And when it does, well, Tara will take her truck out to the desert with Marianne. There she is.
Yes, she is.
And load up the telescope in the truck and take it down to Tucson, 2.5 hours away, maybe more from this distance, and get it fixed. And Star Arizona down in Tucson has been absolutely wonderful in helping us do that. Awesome. I can tell you, it would be so cool if you guys would actually join our Patreon. Okay, this helps us. It supports us. It helps keep us going. We have we're actually paying for the internet on our site, and that's actually over $100 a month. Not only that, we now have another site going in the next month or so, month and a half, and that's going to be a second telescope with different capabilities. Yeah. And that's going to be really cool. So we're going to need help even more. But you know what? I'm really hopeful that this telescope will be joined by that second one for sure. And then the third one, which is behind me, you can't really see it. It's over there, actually, right there.
Oh, I see it.
It's sort of in the dark there. That one is the East Coast scope that will be put up in its little enclosure out here as well. And we also have other plans in the works for other observatories. And I'll keep you posted. And so will Tara, because she's part of our organization along with Marianne. So you guys have a good time. Daryl, of course, is always on with us because he is the other voice of SkyTour Livestream. He is our other co-host.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's fun to listen to him. Well, okay.
He always makes you laugh.
Maybe he doesn't want to listen to him, okay? But we like listening to him.
Well, he has such good information, and Daryl, you just come out of anywhere with such detailed specifics. So it's very cool.
Correct.
I'm a regular Cliff Clavin.
You are.
Yeah. The only thing you don't say is Normie. Normie. Yeah. So in any case, one of the things that we did on the ride out of Roswell was to go to the Very Large Array, this radio telescope setup, and it's really incredible. Until you actually visit it, you don't realize just how far out into nothingness it is. But to give you an idea, check this out. That's a photo that I took in the vehicle driving on the way out to the Very Large Array. Okay. At this point, I think Bill Skywatcher was sound asleep in the back. Okay, snoring away. Okay, and even hitting bumps didn't wake him up. We tried, boom, yeah, he's still asleep. But this was a beautiful location, and when you finally start to see that there's something happening, okay, this is what you see. All right, so let me get rid of this guy so you can watch it.
Oh,
so this is on our way out. Okay, look at those dishes. See all those dishes you see right there?
Cool.
Those are really cool. We'll just stop it right there. Every one of those dishes that you see are part of this Very Large Array. Now, those dishes are massive, and they weigh hundreds of tons, okay, as we'll see. So, but this allows the radio astronomers, to close in and look at different objects in the sky, follow different objects in the sky, and you could hear these dishes humming as their drives are working to keep the telescope pointing at certain things. Keep in mind, the Earth's rotating as well. So they're following, certain things and changing their directions very, very slowly and subtly over time as the Earth rotates out from under these objects. Okay. And they're really cool. So this, this is one of the legs of a big Y-shaped configuration. In fact, this is the center of the Y, just to the right of those dishes. You can kind of see a confluence of brown straight lines. That's the center of the Y-shaped array. I also took a photograph of it on the way in to the Roswell from the air. And I have that picture to show you in a little while, too.
Cool.
But really, really cool. And you can see this is on the plains of San Augustine. You'll notice they're big flat plains, and these big flat plains are covered with grasses and so forth. But what's interesting about these big flat plains is they're ringed by mountains, all right? And those mountains are called intermontane, or in between the mountains. That's the plain, that's the intermontane plain. So it's in between the mountains. Well, this plain used to be a giant lake. And when it dried out, it just left these flat areas. And what better place to put a set of radio telescopes? The elevation there is about 7,000 feet. It feels really crisp and clear. The sky looks bluer than normal because at higher altitude, you're above a lot of the air. And you can actually see the bluer is much more rich at that altitude. It's really, really pretty. Daryl knows about that because he was in a town called Leadville. And I'm sure he had blue sky up there that was unbelievable.
10,152 feet.
Wow.
That was downtown. I lived up on the hill above town. And yes, the sky was very blue.
Yeah, and the clouds look very white, And, when we look at that, we say, well, that's because Compton scattering is in full effect. We see the white clouds, and the Rayleigh scattering is in full effect, and we're seeing the blue very brightly without the atmospheric hazes in the way from lower altitudes. And that's true, Now, once you're in that desert, okay, again, these are the dishes in a photograph, right? You reach the sign, and the sign says, hey, welcome to the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, the NRAO. It's the Very Large Array. Now, they only just renamed it to the Carl Jansky Very Large Array, so the sign has not yet been changed. So it's pretty interesting. And one thing about this, this is where the movie Contact was made in part with Jodie Foster. And one of the things that if you were to go through the visitor center and go through that whole tour, which I didn't do, okay, Jodie Foster narrates it. So obviously they retained her to do stuff beyond the movie Contact, which is kind of cool, So now, what is the Very Large Array in general? What's it actually look like? Well, here it is from the air. Okay, I took this picture on the way out.
Oh, cool.
You can see the three legs that were put in green with the green arrows. And at the center of where the green arrows meet, that's the center of the Y-shaped array. And if you look closely on like the ray coming toward you, you can see little white dots every so often along that line. And those are the dishes from 34,000 feet. Okay. And they go out 13 miles in every direction.
Wow. How big are those, Mark?
The dishes are 82 feet in diameter and they weigh over 230 tons.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, they're massive. They're massive. So now what's interesting also is that, when you look at these dishes, all right, up close, well, this is the dish up close. This is one of them. And if you look behind it to the left, you can see just below left of center, you can see this another dish. And there's more and more and more into the distance that you simply cannot see because they disappear into relative infinity. And you'll notice another thing that's pretty cool about these, as we'll see in a bit, right? But, these dishes, like I said, that's proof I was there. Okay. And these dishes are really large, like I said, 82 feet in diameter, 230 tons apiece. All right. And
they're on rails, aren't they?
That's correct. We're going to show that in just a sec. And for instance, when there's 27 dishes, okay, which is actually kind of a lie. There's actually 28, and the 28th is here. It's inside this hangar. Now, it's in here, kept up to full working condition, just in case they have to tow it out and bring it to one of these positions to move one in that got hit by lightning or something bad happened to it. Okay, so that's what that is. Now, a closer look at this will show you that red tractor-looking object in the lower right.
Mhm.
That's the transporter. That guy will literally slide underneath that dish, and they will detach bolts holding it down to 3 concrete pylons. And then this thing will then lift up and lift the dish off the pylons back out of the building and then lower it down into a position for transport. And then with that gigantic wind catcher on this transporter, it'll slowly make its way to a new position on the array. Now,
Wow.
that's really cool. Yeah. So the total of 28. This is the 28th we're looking at here. There's 27 deployed here as we're talking, and there'll be 27 until October. I'm sorry, they'll be in the configuration they're in until October, and we'll talk about configurations in a minute. So now the whole idea is that when you have all of these spread out in an array, okay, like we saw in our last picture here,
Right.
every so often you got these white dots. Well, those act like a logical large telescope. All the data from each one is correlated and added together to make a logical image that could be a radio image that's basically about 23 miles across. And
Synthetic aperture, right? The interferometer.
it's an interferometer, correct? Yes. And we'll explore the different things they could do and how they do it. But one thing that's really important is that, as I said, they are 200 tons a piece, 230 tons a piece. So here I am holding one.
You're so strong.
I know odor isn't everything. But as Daryl pointed out earlier, how do they get them there? Well, that transporter I told you about will take them down railroad tracks.
Oh, cool.
You'll see that there's a dish down there, further down in the center of the picture, just above left of center. And that dish is not sitting on these tracks, is it? It's off to the left of the tracks on a 90-degree bend. Well, trains don't go 90 degrees. How do they turn 90 degrees? Right? That's the cool thing, and how they do that is rather novel. So when you watch this, by the way, this is a panorama. Okay, it crosses the main road in many places.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and this road here is Route 60 on the main road heading through that area, and it's not uncommon for you to drive down here and have to wait for a gigantic 230-ton dish to make its way across the road. Pretty interesting, So what happens is, if you notice, this is a better shot to show it. You can see that dish way down there, and it's not along the same line into infinity as these other tracks are on. And by the way, there's 2 sets of tracks. You notice that?
Yes.
And that's because the transporter takes up 2 sets of tracks. It's not just one track; it's 2 sets of tracks, and the dish rides in between the 2 tracks up on the platform. Okay. Well, what they do is when the transporter gets to the place where it has to now make a 90-degree turn to go down a little side track. Okay. What it does is it goes down it goes to the spot where it wants to be. And then it has 4 points where it has to lift the train wheels off the track by just enough and it's about 5 inches, and then turn them that set 90 degrees to the right, and then put it back down in the new set of tracks that's going to take it that way. It does that 3 more times for the other tracks over here, boom, here, boom, boom. And now you have all 4, and then it moves it down there, down the side. And then once it does, it moves it over to those. It has 3 concrete piers, and it puts it over the concrete piers. It raises it up just enough to go over the tops of the piers and over the bolting segments, and then it drops them down, and then they're bolted in place. And then they're put in place. Now,
that's a lot of work.
If it was me, I'd probably opt for just putting a motor in each one of these and then driving it, manually, so you can actually have them all driving at the same time to a new configuration to save you a lot of time. Because yeah, go ahead, Daryl.
That would mean 27 transporters, and There goes the
Well,
cost right there.
yeah, built-in transporters. They would be built in.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And the thing is, the reason that they don't do that actually is pretty clever. They do more work like this because the arrays themselves are radio noise free. They don't have any electronic interference whatsoever.
Wow.
They're clean radio wise, so there's no electrical interference. If they had their own motor, then there'd be electrical interference even when the motor is not being used, because power would still be going, and power to cables generates a magnetic field, which in turn can generate an electric field in an adjacent circuit. So
That makes sense.
that's why they don't do it. They want to keep it clean radio wise, radio noise wise. So
Same idea behind putting radio telescopes on the far side of the moon. So there's no noise.
that's
Well,
correct.
Well, wouldn't there be noise from the electronics that are in it, or do they encase those somehow? Is that built in? Is that different?
Those are shielded. That's correct, and they're actually
Okay.
much lower voltage and wattage overall and current wise requirements, because they're running at a much lower output than a transporter that has to move 230 tons.
Right.
Yeah, and they have to take it offline fully in order to move it so that the noise doesn't ruin any electronics at all. When you go on the site, you got to turn off your cell phones. You cannot use your cell phone on site. Yeah, which I thought was rather interesting.
I have a question, but I don't want to jump the gun on you. This is about configuration and spacing and how far apart they are.
Yep.
I bet you're going to come to that here sooner or later.
I will, but go ahead.
Well, I forget. The Y is, you said 20 some odd miles across, 27 miles, 23 miles.
Yeah, it's basically there's 9 antennas per segment of the Y.
Okay.
So you have 9 here, 9 there, and 9 here, all coming to the center. So they go off in 3 directions. Yeah, and that's a total of like 23 miles.
Okay.
13 miles per segment.
And that is the synthetic aperture they're achieving. Why change the size? Why bring them closer together? Why not just run them out to their farthest and leave them?
Perfect. And the reason Daryl's saying that, guys, is because Daryl's thinking aperture means detail, man.
Oh, yeah.
And so the farther out you go, the more you can resolve. And he's absolutely right. However, there's something about radio telescopes that where you're going to lose sensitivity when you're far out there. You got a lot of detail, but some of that fainter stuff you're not going to catch. So if you're bringing them closer, now you can punch in and actually capture a lot of detail in the object. And so it's a trade-off between resolution and sensitivity. And that's exactly and it's funny you should say that, Daryl, because this is perfect time for that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up something here to show you guys right now. We're going to share a screen. Okay, this right here that you're seeing, okay, this is on their site. This is the current configuration of the system. And let me go to today. Okay, our current configuration is this.
Oh, cool.
There they are right there. And if we zoom in a little bit, okay, you can see them there. I wish this, I mean, I can go to full screen, but, I can just try it so you can see what it does. Okay. I don't know if you can see that or not, but in any case, so here's each leg. Okay. And each leg goes out into this intermontane plain, a former lake bed. And it's very flat, perfect for railroad tracks and all that. And as you zoom in, okay, one thing you'll notice when you come in here, you can see the railroad tracks. All right. And then you see the blue symbol where the array is. But this photograph was taken when the arrays were actually clustered quite close. Now there's 4 configurations, right? And those configurations, as we mentioned, are, or as I was about to mention, and Daryl was alluding to, are A, B, C, and D. Okay. So very simple, right? And there's some specialty ones as well. But if we look at just the A, okay, A is when they're farthest apart, all right? And that's where they are now. When we visited, these arrays were at their farthest point. So the full range of 23 miles was being taken by these antennae, okay? And this right here illustrates that. So when we're driving in, this here is well, you can see, I think you can see my cursor, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is the 60 going through here. And if we zoom in, right, and then pull down, okay, you can see that the 60 crosses the highway and there's a track. So we're parked actually we're parked right here. And we walked up and I took pictures down each direction. And that's where I got that panorama that I showed you earlier.
Cool.
Okay. So that's where I was there. And now, okay, you can see how much more there is to this array. We only had that tiny little bit. And there was one here and one there that we saw. And then not many more after that we could see until we started traveling and getting into the whole thing. But that's the A, all right? A is the farthest apart, the highest resolution. And this makes sense. It's a larger effective diameter of the telescope. It gives you more resolution. So very, very important. However, there's also B. And now you'll notice the scale of the image changed and these things got a lot closer. B is this middle ground version. Okay, it's sort of the main workhorse, actually. They use this almost all the time. And what it does is B is the balance between resolution and sensitivity for the very large array. So
interesting.
Yeah, so that gives them that capability. Now, C, on the other hand.
Kind of a quick question for you. Would they rather do a balance like that versus doing 100% of one and 100% of the other to gather data? What's the benefits?
The benefit is that sometimes they would actually want to see both a sensitive view of the overall area plus some detail, because they can then always combine it with a D array. I'm sorry, an A array shot, which is going to be the highest resolution. Okay. So they do all four, and then they have all these, they hone in on specific things with each of them. And so, but B is the workhorse. B is the one that they use most often. It's the blend. It's like our camera for the telescope. Our camera has a certain size pixel size for the sensor. And you don't want to be too small and you don't want to be too large, but something in between. All right, to capture the most data. So that's what we've done. We have a camera. Zone. It's that Goldilocks zone of cameras, the Goldilocks zone of our radio telescopes right here. Yeah, exactly. Very good point. Very good way to put it. So now, then there is this other, okay, besides C, we now have D. D is where they're closest in. And if we zoom in, you'll notice that they use D to actually make this photograph. See it? So you see where the blue is, there's actually a dish at each location. Okay.
And the black is shadows, I assume.
You got it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the D location. And some of these were in transit when they were doing this. So there's a missing shadow for a couple of the ones. But this is showing you the configurations. And every few months they change the configuration. Now, the interesting thing about this is that these configurations, okay, that they have can take anywhere from 8 hours to 2 weeks to change. And you can imagine the transport's not racing those big 200-ton things down the tracks. And when you look at the tracks on edge down low, one of the things you'll notice is they're actually pretty bumpy. They actually go up and down, and they go like this. They kind of go down the terrain and up the terrain. So that gigantic, wind catcher that's riding on this transporter is going to have to. I'd be scared. They don't even bolt them down. They don't bolt them down to the transporter. You know that?
It won't just like topple over.
In a strong wind, it might. So you can imagine what they do is they actually wait until the winds have subsided and to start moving them.
I have another question.
Yeah.
The idea of the synthetic aperture is carried to its extreme here on Earth. with, I guess they call it the Event Horizon Telescope.
Correct.
Remember correctly? That's the one that the aperture of all these radio telescopes all over the world basically is about the size of the Earth, about 8,000 miles across.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's sort of pushing it to the extreme. Is that a factor in why it takes them so much longer to come up with a coherent image with the Event Horizon Telescope? I know, they have observing runs for months, I guess, and they spend a heck of a lot of time correlating the various instruments so it will work as an interferometer, where they have to be at the exact same time seeing the exact same thing to make a real image.
Yeah, you're answering your own question, and because it takes so long to do it, they do have to take a long time to assemble the images, and it could take months to assemble the data. And that's what it took for the black hole in Messier 87 that Daryl's talking about, for the Event Horizon took, and for looking at our own Milky Way's supermassive black hole. And that one, okay, the problem with that is that because it's so much closer to us, the motions of the high-speed particles near that event horizon were detectable by the telescope, and in the amount of time that they're observing over time to long exposures. So that's why the images look fuzzy and blobby, because they're blurred effectively. If it was
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was sort of my next point. I have seen other images, and the famous ones they've released that do look so blurred. They look like snapshots from instant to instant, and it's interesting to see how different M87 or Sagittarius A star looks instant to instant. They're much crisper images.
Instant to instant.
Yes.
But when they integrate them, they're blurry, right? Because there is perceived motion. It's just, black holes are crazy things, and motions are extremely high around those black holes. In
the accretion disks, I guess.
In the accretion disks, and especially near the black hole itself. Yeah. So, in any case, these telescopes are used in this way. Like Daryl was saying, the Event Horizon Telescope is 8,000 miles across, handles the entire size of the Earth. That's the effective size of this telescope. And now, I'm telling you all this, but what about a real-world example? Do we have a real-world example? What does the A configuration show us versus the D? I'm glad you asked, because right here, we have that.
Ooh.
This is what's called Hercules A. That little dot in the middle of all that weird stuff going on at the top.
Yes.
That little dot
tiny.
is called, it's called a supermassive elliptical galaxy. And it's spewing radio waves at high speed out from it like this. The A configuration is the one, remember, where the scopes of the radio telescopes are farthest apart, highest resolution. And there we see it right there. That's the highest resolution. Okay. The B resolution is the workhorse. It's the trade-off down there. You see it. That's the trade-off where they're a little bit closer. So it's a little less resolution, but more sensitivity. So you can see more stuff around there.
Yeah.
Okay. C even less, but notice that the lobes around the galaxies, are much bigger. Okay. That data was not visible in the A configuration. Then the D configuration, which is really meant for, again, these vast galaxies, you can see that the detail is not really there, but you can see the sensitivity is even higher still. And that's an example of how these different configurations work practically.
Okay, so that's the answer to my question right there.
Yeah.
All right.
Great visual.
Yeah. It's the thing that I think is the best answer. Just see it in practice, right? Don't tell me, show me. And there you go. That's it right there. And that's what the Very Large Array can do. And again, remember, we're seeing dishes, not lenses, not mirrors. So the dishes are receiving radio signals. What are radio signals? Well, those are way out past the red end of the spectrum. Okay,
Right.
in the radio region of the spectrum, because radio is light too. It's just not light you can see.
I don't know how to post quotes in StreamYard. Charles Smar has a good question. Is it possible to create an array as large as the Earth's orbit?
Actually, I was going to cover that.
There you go.
I was going to mention that, and because you were talking about the event horizon, and then I wanted to talk about the next thing because you said that's pushing the limits, and I was going to say no, that's not the limit. Because imagine if we take the Event Horizon Telescope and we take data for 6 months, and then now effectively we have a 186 million mile diameter telescope.
Right.
Can you imagine the resolution then? I'm gonna guess that that's probably already underway. Okay.
Cool.
I'm gonna guess
they have plans for that.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that they're doing that. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be underway. Yeah. So I think that it really comes down to the fact that we definitely have a long way to go in what we understand right about the universe, but we also have technology that we can use in order to capture it. And do you have any questions about this, Tara? Let me pull this down here out of the way.
Well, I think it's kind of the same thing that Charles was talking about. And can we put any of this stuff on the moon, and would it make it larger then? I mean, how large of a radio telescope could we theoretically get?
Okay, actually, that's not a bad thought. Let's pursue that and see why that may not work. Okay, the moon is 240,000 miles away. It's orbiting, right? So that's pretty cool. So we could say, hey, let's just put one on the far side of the moon, away from the sun. Well, unfortunately, that only works for a certain period of time because then because the moon is tightly locked, it's going to spin around and eventually be facing the backside of it's going to be facing the sun, and the sun's going to be lighting it up, and its radio energy is going to be popping it, really strongly. Then it'll come around again, and then when it's here, this side will be in the dark. This side will be the light side, which we see from the Earth. Okay, so we can't put something on a platform that isn't going to be stable for long periods of time. Now, yes, the Earth spins, all right, but go ahead, Daryl.
Well, I mean the VLA itself; those things work in the daytime, don't they?
Yeah, but the point being that if you're going to be looking, you're talking about a sensitive system. I'm thinking like you put an astronomy telescope on the moon. Okay, you want to look mostly at night. Now, if you're talking about a radio telescope, the VLA works day or night. That's correct because radio waves, they don't care about the sunlight.
Matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can't get too close to the sun. You got to be careful. You could look. I mean, right now, actually, when I was down there, the VLA antennas looked like they were facing the sun at one point during their day. Because the sun, as the Earth rotates, the sun was going through. You see the shadows get really, really short inside the dish. Okay, and that means the sun is almost over that horn, which is sticking up over the dish. Okay, which is like over the dish, and you have to sing on the dish. You have the horn at the top. Okay, and you saw that the shadow was really short inside this dish, and so that kind of looked like to me that the sun was very close. And they don't care, but they're going to get radio noise from the sun, and so they want to avoid that anyway. So they will, unless they're looking at the sun, which makes no sense for the VLA.
All right. Well, I know the idea of radio telescopes on the far side of the moon. That's an old idea. Arthur C. Clarke wrote about that probably 60 years ago.
Yeah.
So you meant specifically optical telescopes.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I know we were talking about radio telescopes, and
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Can you put radio telescopes in satellites? And could you have them in orbit?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, keep in mind these dishes are 82 feet in diameter. Okay,
Huge.
And right now, our limitation, the James Webb is the largest telescope ever launched into space, and it's got a 21-foot diameter mirror, but they're segmented.
Smaller.
They're hexagonal segments that folded in, and so it sort of unfolded. Everything had to go right for that to work, and it did, which is pretty cool. So if you consider that 21 feet is about right now our practical limit, could we make one that could go 42 feet or more, maybe 82 feet, maybe? It's possible. It's possible. You know, it's possible, but we haven't designed it yet, and it has to go up in a rocket and unfold from a rocket body. Is there enough segments that you could put? You could make a gossamer dish, okay, a dish made of some type of fabric, actually, with
Cool.
trusses that would hold it in its position. And in space, it's possible that you
Cool.
could calibrate something like that to be really, really close to perfect. But solar wind will affect it. It would have to be parked probably at a Lagrange point like the James Webb, so it doesn't get shifted around too much.
Interesting.
And it would have to be, it could look at the sun, it could be in view of the sun, but the solar wind's going to have to be compensated somehow. Just like on the James Webb, there's actually a little rudder on the James Webb that actually is set in a certain position to counteract the solar wind on that massive sunshade.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I'm
cool.
sure a big enough dish would make a really good solar sail.
Yeah, that's true. But again, you got to keep in mind that keep in mind this. When you look at the size of the array here, the very large array, we have an effective size of over 20 miles with this set of dishes. Well, if we want to make a big one, we would say make a big dish, put it in space, and then take successive images with it and maybe combine those into something. The problem with that is that the dish is orbiting. It's going to be orbiting something. It's going to be orbiting the sun. It's going to be orbiting the earth. It's going to be whatever. And that's fine. But depending on what we're looking at, we have to be careful that we're not going to see motion that's created. Now, for long distance things like these jets from this supermassive elliptical, we might not see a difference. But for black holes, we would. We know we do. So we have to be careful what we use it for. So there has to be a good scientific return on the investment for this. But I think I would love to see a telescope the size of the entire Earth's orbit. You know, that's, can you imagine that? 186 million mile diameter telescope.
That'd be amazing.
We'd be able to resolve stars in a distant galaxy without any problems, very distant galaxy.
If we had that technology, wouldn't we be able to do a lot more things too? I mean, we would have solved a lot of other energy problems too.
Well, that's
right?
true. That's true.
I assume you touched on the size of the dishes earlier, 86 feet, whatever.
82, yeah.
82 feet. I would assume that's analogous to how big an optical telescope would be. It's not so much like you take a dish of a certain size that it will let you see such and such a wavelength as the bigger the mirror, the bigger the lens, lets you gather more of it.
Yes.
And then you're getting into Dawes limit and resolution and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in short, what Daryl's saying is that the bigger telescope, you have the bigger resolution. And if we could make a telescope that was the size of, say, the Earth orbit around the sun, our resolution would be stupendously, colossally great. But, with the smaller dishes, like here with the VLA, there's a practical limit to what they can see. They're only 82 feet across. All right. And there's 27 of them in an array, an interferometric array where they take the data from each one, add it together to make a logical telescope of that diameter. So it's pretty neat. But I really think that we would be able to move forward and make a radio telescope that was even better in orbit too. I think a VLA on the moon wouldn't work because the moon is tidally locked, but that means you wouldn't be able to have, it doesn't matter the atmosphere, so much.
Okay.
The radio waves come through unimpeded. So it wouldn't benefit you too much to having a telescope on the moon, a radio telescope on the moon. I built a radio telescope here to listen to Jupiter's moon Io, and it was just sticks, like 14-foot long with wires crossing between and then crossbars. And then every time Jupiter came up, we wouldn't know because it was daytime, but our chart would go zzz, and you'd start to see all of the noise coming from Jupiter's moon Io.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting data out there that you can capture as
That
long as you're
reminds
willing
me.
to.
I saw an article recently that I guess they're thinking of dismantling the famous Horn telescope that I think it was Penzias and Wilson.
Yes, the Cosmic Microwave Background Telescope.
Yeah, they're thinking of tearing it down.
Ah,
I mean, it's basically a monument now, but you would think something like that should be kept as a monument.
I mean, it's famous. It's famous. I also like how they found that it was pigeon poop that gave them a spurious signal
Yeah.
inside the horn.
that's right. I remember that now.
That's funny, right?
Oh, well, tear it down, build some condos, I guess. Some more condos.
Oh, no. Folks, we're going to talk for a few more seconds. And then when we come back, we're going to have Daryl do a deep dive with us. We're going to talk about the
Cool.
summer skies. And if Tara, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask any now if you wish. We have a few minutes before the break.
Well, I kind of have one that's kind of off the topic, but kind of related. You were talking about the geosynchronous orbit of the moon. And honestly, I've been talking to some folks in the last several months, and I'm kind of surprised how there are a lot of people who believe that the moon does not rotate. And they are steadfastly believers that it does not rotate at all. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you can maybe kind of tell us again how that works and what does that mean to have a
It
geosynchronous orbit?
rotates at the same rate as it
Mhm.
revolves around the Earth,
Right.
once per orbit.
That's what
you-
tidal locking is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may not appear to move from Earth's point of view. Actually, it does a little. It rocks back and forth some.
Libration.
we-
and so
We
forth.
can we can actually see about. We can only see half the moon at a time, but we get to see around the edges a little bit as the moon rocks back and forth and up and down, and we actually see about 9/16 or so of the moon's surface total. But it depends on your point of view, Tara. If you were on the sun instead of the Earth, you would see the moon rotate once a month. As Mark alluded to earlier, that 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, you'll see the other side of the moon as seen from the
Right.
sun.
The only way
That
for
is-
that to
That
happen
makes sense.
is for the only way it can happen is if it's rotating. And if you
Yeah.
just isolated the moon in its orbit and looked down on top of it and ignored the Earth, once a month it would do this. It would go around. It
Right.
would go around once a month. So the moon does revolve on its axis, but
It
It's-
rotates on its axis. It revolves around the Earth.
yeah, okay. Thanks for the correction.
Ha ha.
Okay, so
That's why you're so awesome, Daryl. You can keep us straight. It's semantics, right? I mean,
it's all semantics. Daryl loves semantics. So
and what
if
antics.
you look at the way the Earth,
Two different physical processes.
if you look, okay, thank you, Daryl. If you look at the way the Earth rotates, okay, and you look at the way the moon goes around the Earth, okay, if the same face is facing us, that can't happen if the moon itself isn't going around on its axis as well. Okay, so the fact that
Right.
it does is shown very clearly if you isolate the moon and just watch the moon alone. So that's pretty cool. So does
It
that
is
help you
cool.
with that?
Oh yeah, I appreciate you just sharing it again because some people just don't understand that and it's hard to explain it to them. And I
Yeah.
think you guys did well. So
I know it's pretty cool.
yeah.
Hey, can
And
I
so-
show something real quick before we go to break?
Yeah, we got a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me find it real quick.
We have
Okay.
about a minute.
It is still your turn.
This is the first
Ooh.
anniversary image from the Webb telescope, the JWST. This is one of
Wow.
Mark's favorite areas. This is Rho
Oh,
Ophiuchi.
Ophiuchi. Yeah.
as seen by the Webb. I think
Yeah.
that's just a
Wow.
spectacular picture.
It really is.
Yeah.
And those lines you see coming off the stars, those are caused by the hexagonal mirror segments. The fact that they're got flats, it's a hexagon, so you get those little points, those diffraction spikes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the most amazing thing I've seen in a while.
It almost
Okay,
looks-
thank you for
looks-
indulging me.
It almost looked like something was flying there. It was just beautiful nebula.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gorgeous.
It did. It looks like a sort of angelic in some ways.
It did.
Okay.
Gorgeous.
Daryl, one of our people in the chat is saying your lips don't move.
Oh well.
That's
Your
because
lips
it's
don't
time
move.
for break, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. It's,
All right,
it's
guys.
break time.
Well, we will return to you in just a short
Awesome.
bit. So stay tuned and stick around. We got a lot more to show you. See ya.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Are you looking to go on a faraway journey that is magical and mysterious, reaping on mystical legends? If so, then Mysterious Adventure Tours is perfect for you. Imagine a voyage to explore ancient mysteries of Ireland, haunted majesties of Scotland, or their chilling Birth of the Vampires in Romania. These small, esoteric getaways are limited and do fill up fast. So, go to MysteriousAdventureTours.com and book your trip soon.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. Only at kgradb.com.
Welcome back, everybody, and I hope you're going to have a good time tonight with Deep Dive with Daryl Mason.
Yeah.
Daryl, are you ready to show us some stuff here or what?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so revolve your chair around and show us what's going on in the deep sky, won't you?
Okay. Give me just a second. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
Hey.
Showing up okay now?
Nope.
Not yet. It's
Yeah.
thinking. It's trying. There it
There
is.
it is.
Yay.
Take you full screen here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, this is tonight. This is about what is it? 8 o'clock, a little after 8 o'clock at night, from my place. And the sun is setting behind the tree. Okay, as usual, we'll start looking at the west. Note, please, that Mercury has returned to the evening sky it is in the process of climbing up the ecliptic plane, that red line. It's approaching Venus and Mars. Mercury will keep climbing for a while. Mars and Venus are making an interesting pair right now. You can't see it, but right there where the N is the bright star Regulus in the constellation Leo. And Venus and Mars are to either side of Regulus. Actually, the sky is still pretty bright at this point. Venus can easily be seen. Mars is very difficult by comparison. It's actually, at this time of night, 8:11, you see the sky's not even dark yet. You can only see Venus. Now, Venus was at its brightest for this apparition on the nights of the 12th and the 13th, 3 or 4 days ago. It's magnitude minus 4.7, if I remember correctly. As soon as the sun sets, the instant the sun sets, you can see Venus, if not before it sets, if you know where to look. It is absolutely brilliant in the sky. It can't be missed. And then by the time it gets dark enough to see Mars, they'll be close to setting. But this is what they're doing. Now, Venus was farthest east of the sun, greatest eastern elongation, on June the 4th. That's when it was at its greatest distance from the sun at sunset. And it has since been falling back in toward the line between the Earth and the sun. It will pass between Earth and sun in August, in a few weeks. So Venus is dropping now. Now, there's a happy place between Venus coming closer. It's also you zoom in on it. Hopefully it will show you that the Venus is actually a very thin crescent right now. Stellarium is trying to show you that. The crescent, when Venus was at greatest elongation, it was about half full, a little less than half full. And as it is coming around the curve toward us now in its orbit around the sun, it's like a little moon in reverse, or an old moon, and that it's getting skinnier night by night.
Cool.
Excuse me. Anyway.
Give Daryl a moment to recover here.
Sorry about that. So that's Venus, and it's going to continue getting skinnier and skinnier as it nears the sun more and more until it passes between Earth and sun next month. From there, we're going to swing over to the southern view as usual. At this time, you can pretty much say goodbye to Leo because he's dropping down into the sunset. Here we are a little after 10 o'clock at night. Regulus will be gone by then. And Virgo is still up, but lowering in the west. Galaxy season is pretty much gone. We can still catch some of the objects higher up, and especially if you go up in the northern sky, we can still catch galaxies up around Coma Berenices and on up into Ursa Major and stuff. But here comes the stars of summer. And I'd like you to note that 10:15 at night from my location, Antares and Scorpius, the heart of the Scorpion, is already west of the meridian. So Scorpius is already past its prime by 10 o'clock at night. Scorpius comes and goes really fast. But get them while you can, you know. There are M objects we can see this time of year still, Antares and then Messier 4, the globular cluster right to the west of Antares. And on up M5, and here is Serpens. I'll draw the art for you. Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer. So the guy, Roman guy, I forget, Asclepius or something like that, the famous healer back in the day. He's holding a snake, and here's the head and the front of the snake. Here is the tail. the back end of the snake. It's a serpent's cauda. And up in here, there are a bunch of M objects, globular clusters and stuff. And then back down into Scorpius, as you follow the tail down, Messier 6 and Messier 7 are in this area. Here's the stinger of the scorpion. That's the star Shaula, the star Lysath. They're also known as the cat's eyes. They're very close together. Some people see a cat looking at you in the dark when you see the cat's eyes. And then here comes Milky Way. Here's the center of the galaxy right here, off the tip of the spout of the teapot. You can see the teapot. M8, M20 are right up here. And going on up, M22 globular cluster is right about there. And M11 wild duck cluster, M24 Sagittarius star cloud, and various Messier objects going right up the Milky Way. And we get
you had mentioned M8, which is the Lagoon Nebula.
Yes.
And I have a photo of that we took just the other night, which I can just pop up real quick and show.
Sure, go
right,
for it.
So I'll do it. So there it is.
Ooh.
That's
my
Lagoon
God.
Nebula on the right there. And you notice it drifts across, the red drifts across, and you see this other nebula to the left. As a kid, I've never seen that nebula. Only as an adult with Sky Tour live streams cameras have I found that. And that's called the Chinese Dragon Nebula.
Wow.
Really pretty. And at the top left, you can see dark nebula, and it's fringed by what looks like blue. And that blue is reflection nebula, that is scattered light from the stars that is actually scattered by the dust that makes up this black cloud on the upper left within that little red circular patch up there. Really, really pretty. And that is the lagoon. And you mentioned Venus earlier, Daryl, and you showed Venus, and this is Venus from the other night as well. That's a close-up.
Oh, yeah, we did that before the stream started.
We did. Daryl and I were actually together on the stream.
Cool.
Good.
Yeah, that's Venus. And sometimes the last new moon before Venus passes between Earth and Sun, that's called inferior conjunction. The last new moon, a couple of days afterwards, when there will be a young crescent moon up in the west, Venus, I have seen this a few times in my life. Venus is close enough that they will appear in the same field of view of the telescope, and you can directly compare them at that time. The crescent phase will be the same or very close to the same for the young moon and Venus. Venus will be about 1 minute of arc across at that time, and the moon is half a degree or 30 arc minutes. So you'll see a little bitty, looks like a little bitty moon, and then a great big moon right next to it with all the craters and stuff. It's really a fun thing to see. So back to Stellarium. Okay, yeah, as Mark said, M8 is right there, Lagoon Nebula, and M20, M20, blah, blah. Trifid Nebula is just above M8. M22 is right here. M11 wild duck clusters and Scutum the Shield. And then we get on up and follow the Milky Way. There's a great rift right there. We get up into Vulpecula, the little fox. This is where the dumbbell is. Here is the star Albireo, that really beautiful double star, the blue and the yellow pair. M57 Ring Nebula is right there. M13 Globular Cluster is still hanging high up there in Hercules. And we get up into Cygnus, and Gamma Cygni is right there around the star Satyr. And here is the North American Nebula and the Pelican Nebula. I'm going to end it right there because I'm about to start coffee again.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you very much, Daryl.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get him back for other things. Now, he mentioned the Dumbbell Nebula. I wanted to share that with you. There's the Dumbbell Nebula.
Ooh.
Took this just the other night as well.
So green.
I know, and it's really sort of a greenish blue, maybe a little too bright in the green. But the thing is, when we were kids taking pictures of the night sky, because that's what we did as kids, we took pictures of the night sky. We actually did some really interesting stuff. We would take pictures, okay, and they'd be in black and white. So they'd be black and white imagery. So you missed a lot of the color variation and a lot of the very important stuff that happens. And you miss entirely that the colors are significant because they imply different gases. You might see a brighter white thing here, okay, and maybe up here, okay, and an edge. And you say, well, what is that? And it's like, well, that's actually just a brighter white area in black and white. But when you see it in color, you know exactly what it is. Okay, the red indicates elements like hydrogen, okay, that has, atoms of hydrogen has been ionized, all right? And when that happens, ultimately, you get the hydrogen gas glowing red, and that's called hydrogen alpha. That's a very common transition that the hydrogen atom makes to make that color. It makes others, but the dominant one is this reddish one. And then the green one is oxygen, all right? And the oxygen, this is actually called doubly ionized oxygen. In fact, it's a ionization that can't happen here on Earth. It has to happen in a very, very thin gas out in space like this. But you'll notice the center, the star in the middle. You notice the color?
Is it blue? Or
yeah.
what? Oh, okay.
It's a blue star. And you say, well, wait a minute, why is that so bright blue? Because that's actually a white dwarf. What you're seeing there, a few thousand light years away, is actually something that's only a few thousand miles across. Okay, it's a couple thousand. I forget the distance of the dumbbell. I forget. Daryl, tell me if you remember. It's like 2,000 or 3,000 light years. Something like that.
Not offhand. I'd have to look it up.
All right, and then the white dwarf in the middle, that white dwarf, that blue thing, several thousand light years away, is only the diameter of the Earth. But you can see it because it's so bright. Now, most of its radiation is coming off in the ultraviolet. And that ultraviolet radiation coming off is why these gases glow the way they do. Okay, that glow is very true. And then Ronald says, looks like an apple core. That leads to another very important observation, Ronald. Thank you. Because you notice it seems like a lot of stuff has come out from the edges here around the sides like this. But what about here? Not so much. Okay, it's Granny Smith green, Genghis. That's correct. Well, the reason is because the star's north and south pole, probably around this line right here, and the star was rapidly rotating like this around the center here, and so most of that stuff went off the equator around the equatorial regions like that. And at the same time, I have a feeling, and this is just a thought, I have a feeling that this also was doing something called precessing. And the precessing means that as it's rotating, it's doing this.
Oh.
So as it's rotating, but doing this strange pirouetting, okay, like a top that's spinning, and it's getting near the point where it's going to fall over. Okay, well, that precession may be responsible for why we have these sweeps here, and there's one right here, which might be the result of one such sweep that's underway now, perhaps. And so the thing might be, precessing left and, up and around its pole like this.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure, but that's a very strong possibility.
I've wondered before if you look at 4 o'clock, you can see what looks sort of like a jet coming out. It's green on the inside, and then it's a very distinct red on the end right there.
Yeah.
And then 180 degrees away at about 10 o'clock, you see another brighter red spot.
Yep.
That it's like jets, as you said, precessing around.
Now, one thing to keep in mind is that we don't know. Remember, this is in 3 dimensions, so we don't know how far into the green this jet we're looking at is. It could be this. It could be this red farther in, but the green could be overwhelming it. Right. Again, the ionized, doubly ionized oxygen could be overwhelming it. And as it comes out, there might be a thin spot through which we can see this hydrogens, but it's probably the same color all the way in, But there's a lot of detail in this image that we just, the telescope performs flawlessly, but it's like, 20-second shot, I think. We didn't want to go
Incredible.
too high because the dumbbell can easily overwhelm, but it's bright enough. Well, we got all this really wonderful gossamer detail outside here. But that is actually that's our dumbbell nebula that we shot. It's really something else, you know. And then I think I wanted to show you. I had another one here. Let me.
Yay.
Yeah, you know, right? I showed you.
Love the images.
You've done Gamma Cygni and
Oh yeah, we've done
North
that.
America and the Pelican already, haven't you, this year?
Yeah, I don't have the processed ones available yet.
Okay.
I don't. Well, maybe I do. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. Okay. Daryl showed you the James Webb shot of the Rho Ophiuchi complex, right? That Rho Ophiuchi, okay, is a star north. You know, it's yes, Ophiuchi. I heard it pronounced both ways. So I go back.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Carry
Potato.
Exactly. But because out of deference to Daryl, because he's down there, okay, if he was up here next to you, then I would probably not do it. But because he's down
He'd
below,
probably smack me.
I feel bad because you're down there, Daryl. You're below.
Yeah. Oh,
You're below Tara and I don't like that. You should be up here with us.
NASA
Anyway.
says Ophiuchi.
Well, that's one guy's interpretation in NASA. All right, it's fine. But let's take a look at the Rho Ophiuchi cloud. All right, this is our Sky Tour mosaic of it. Okay, you can see, and I think that the shot of Rho Ophiuchi that you have is it. I couldn't tell whether we're looking at just the center part or the center and the upper part, because the upper part's where Rho Ophiuchi is.
Uh-huh. And the Webb being such a big telescope, it's a very small field of view.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that image, the Webb image, is like 7.5 arc minutes across.
Okay.
And we're looking at several degrees right here.
Here we are. Now it's got those black edges to it because this is a mosaic of several images we took, and then we put them together. I want to give a shout out to Isabella Melamed from Bulgaria. Isabella, whenever we take mosaics during a night, Isabella diligently works in the background and produces the mosaic to show people. The instantaneous mosaic is certainly not highly processed, okay, like this, but you actually get to see the mosaic that was created while you're in Skytour Livestream. So it's really cool to see that. But I've always felt that this location in the sky is probably the most colorful location. You know, I like it even more than the Orion Nebula and the whole Orion complex. The Orion Molecular Cloud Complex is replete with dark nebulae, all kinds of beautiful red hydrogen emission nebulae, green oxygen 3, O3 regions, the doubly ionized oxygen. But this one, by far, and reflection nebulae, and this one by far has all that plus more.
Yeah, and if you're curious, down there in the bottom left-hand corner, that's Antares hiding behind the big black square.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, and we didn't do that because Antares makes a big, ugly halo ring. So we kind of, I chose not to do it, but you can see a little bit of the Antares Nebula, which is that part of that red stuff you see. I could have made
4 is there too.
Yeah, Messier 4 is down there too.
Hey, I want to apologize earlier for coughing online. That's what I get for trying to drink tea and talk at the same time.
Well, fair enough, Daryl. That's okay. You didn't need to apologize. You know, I mean, I've had coffee fits myself. That's why I get this. This is some special stuff. This is called Entertainer's Secret. And one little spray. Mm-hmm. It tastes good. And
That's
it makes
good.
sure you don't have a hoarse voice or cough. It's saved me many times during presentations. And it came from one of our Skytour Livestream listeners. And so I have to thank Terry for that. She's the one that sent that to us.
Nice.
So very, very kind. Good people. They think of you the whole time. That's really cool. So anyway, there is our Rho Ophiuchi. Okay,
That's cool.
Ophiuchi, Daryl. Ophiuchi. It's a strange name. Let's be fair. Okay, Ophiuchi sounds like hard. Ophiuchi sounds gentle, gossamer, like the nebula, right?
Well,
So
I say Canada's been a teacher wrong.
yeah, I know that people. Yeah, I know people say it differently, and I never said a word about it. I'm not gonna harass you about the way you pronounce things.
Ooh, burn.
Not really. That was funny though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there we go. And now, Daryl was showing that beautiful image of the James Webb shot of Rho Ophiuchi, and it reminded me that there are some things that the Webb telescope has done that we have yet to talk about. And one of them is the fact that, again, the Webb telescope is supposedly also looking for evidence of life, past or present, where it's looking in the universe. And it basically discovered water vapor in the atmosphere of a particular planet around another star.
Cool.
And that's the star's name is GJ for Gliese, GJ 486. All right. And the planet is GJ 486b. Right. And
Mark, excuse me, is that our galaxy you're talking about, or is that elsewhere?
no, that's in our galaxy. That's
Okay.
in fact, this is the data right here.
Okay.
Okay. And now the thing that's interesting about this is GJ 486, which I'll call 486 from now on. Okay. It has a lot of water vapor that's visible in the spectrum. But keep in mind, the star 486 is a red dwarf. Now, they're very cool relative to the Earth. And believe it or not, water vapor can actually exist in the cool star spots that you'll see on the stellar surface for these red dwarfs. That's something which goes against what people have traditionally thought, because water vapor is H2O. It's a molecule. And usually the heat of a star will separate atoms and prevent them from bonding. In fact, many times the heat from a star will literally strip the electrons off of a atom and reduce it to just the protons, yielding a proton and electron plasma. Okay, but in this particular case, the star spots can be very large on the surface of these red dwarf stars. And those star spots can also contain near their cores water vapor. So to differentiate this, they have to allow the rotation of the star to go through several rotations. And this goes to your point earlier, Daryl, about why data is not released right away sometimes. They have to let the star rotate several periods to make sure that they don't just come, that they still come back, because the star spots will usually go away, or they're variable in size and change, and those changes can be detected. So they have to let this happen. They have to let the planet go around the star as well. And when the planet is no longer transiting the star, and we don't have that little window into its atmosphere, when it's say behind the star relative to us, we want to see if that data goes away. If it does, then we know the water vapor's in the planetary atmosphere and not in the star's atmosphere. But you see, there's a lot to correlate. The star spot's potential on the surface of the star and the planet moving around the star that could be showing us water vapor in its atmosphere. Where's the water vapor, right? So this planet, again, its year is measured only in days, like 2 or 3, 5 days. I can't remember for this one. But depending on what happens with this particular planet, we could register this as the first big win for the James Webb for finding water vapor in a distant planet around another star. I think that's pretty cool.
It's awesome. That's really cool. It's encouraging.
Yeah, that's right. So, and that's really neat. Now, the James Webb didn't stop there, okay, because the James Webb has been looking at nebulae, as you saw the Rho Ophiuchi nebulae that Daryl showed. Okay, the James Webb has also been looking at the turbulent inner workings of this guy. Isn't that beautiful?
Ooh.
This is it's called NIRCam, the near infrared cam. It shows you the turbulent inner workings of a amazing nebula called the Tarantula Nebula.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Yes, and we're not talking about, this guy. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about the Tarantula Nebula, this guy. Okay.
That's actually in one of the Magellanic Clouds, isn't it?
Yes, that's and I'm showing it because we can't see that from here, so why not
Right.
show it here, right?
Sure. I've heard that if the Tarantula was the same distance as the Orion Nebula, it would fill half our sky.
Oh, it's a big
Wow.
nebula. Yeah. It's a big nebula. Yeah. That's a good analogy. And the thing with the James Webb's NIRCam is it's showing new young stars that are literally winking into existence here. And these young stars are actually blowing bubbles. So that is responsible for a lot of why you see this material. Now, the red you're seeing here, this is actually false color. And I know that you want to think that's hydrogen, but in fact, it's not. This is a false color image to show you this ruddy brown. You see that ruddy brown color, the gas and the dust you're seeing, this ruddy brown?
Kind of like in the foot, sort of. Looks like a little foot.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
all through the image.
Okay.
At the top of the image, you have what looks like reddish nebula. Okay,
Yes.
and then the right, there's a strand of it, and the upper right, and then lower right, etc. Well, that's actually a brownish, and what that is, believe it or not, this young cluster of stars that you see there in the middle, these colors indicate complex hydrocarbons. Now, what's interesting is, thanks to James Webb's infrared signatures and being able to identify them, we could identify these complex hydrocarbons. And what are complex hydrocarbons? They're the building blocks of life.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the example of the Tarantula Nebula is exactly the kind of example that we want to show when people say, I don't believe we come from the stars. Well, I'm sorry. Look, this is where we come from. Everything in this nebula is what you're made of. Everything in your body came from the heart of a star at one point.
And one thing you have to keep in mind, too, when you're looking at the Webb images, okay, it is an infrared telescope. Color is meaningless in and of itself.
Yeah.
They're assigning colors to correspond with certain different infrared wavelengths.
Yes, and in this case, they assigned that brownish red to the complex hydrocarbons. I probably would have chosen a different one. I probably would have chosen probably a purple or a green to indicate the complex hydrocarbons. But
it's all very scientific, but
yeah.
I've always thought that, whoever composed the image, they used their imagination a little bit or tried to dress it up to look pretty.
Yeah.
Cosmic Ray had a couple interesting questions. May I post one or two of them, please?
Sure.
Okay. How are all the JWST discoveries in paper being vetted? Who applied the Pinocchio scale, or is it just like COVID science? As I understand it, Ray, a lot of these images and results are sent to certain research teams who had observing time on the JWST, and they're not all released to the public right away. They wait until they've written their papers, and then they release some of the images.
Yes, that's intellectual. It's an intellectual property process. If you're going to pay with an endowment for time on the James Webb Space Telescope, or you're going to get time on the James Webb, then you have the right to take that data and have first dibs on getting a paper out about it.
Yeah, Isabella, I know it's made her angry in the past too, because we don't get to see all the stuff that the Webb is doing right away. Ray's other question, the star spokes on an image are not characteristic of the JWST. Actually, they are.
Yes, they are
representative of the NIRCam images, the near infrared images. It has that very distinctive 6-pointed diffraction spikes Plus, there's a very faint line running to left to right across the center also.
Yeah.
Those are all near-cam images. And when you see the mid-range infrared images, they do not show those spikes, only the near-cam.
Yeah. So thank you, Ray, for those questions. And now let's take down this gorgeous. It's hard to take it down because it's so beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It is. And now the next thing that the James Webb had looked at was this system. This is the TRAPPIST-1 system. TRAPPIST-1 was and is a system that has sparked incredible promise, because if you look in the top, you have a star that's a little red dwarf star. All right. It's a fraction of the size of the sun. And the star has 7 planets around it. Okay. And these planets are interesting because 3 of them might be in the habitable zone. So if you think about it, in the top there, E, F, and G might actually be in the habitable zone for this star. That means potentially 3 sets of different forms of life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the E, life in the E, might be equivalent to something just a little cooler than Venus. F might correspond to something like Earth, and G might correspond to something like Mars. All right. And so is there potential for life there? Well, sure. Why not? There absolutely is. Because, I mean, part of my talk that I give, one of the many talks I give, one of them is that the carbon that we're made of is a template that the universe provides. And it's number 4 in population in the universe in terms of elements. It's the 4th most abundant. Oxygen is the 3rd most. It's even more abundant than carbon. And DNA is made of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur, okay, and beyond. And these make up the amino acids, which become the complex forms within DNA. And for those to occur, you need a planet that has water on its surface, standing water. Hot water or cold, it doesn't matter as long as it's standing water. And E, F, and G currently show that promise, right? Yeah. Now, what's interesting is that the James Webb looked not at E, F, and G, but it looked at B, planet B, the closest one to the star. Now, there's reasons for that, which we may get to. But if you notice, okay, B, all right, it had the planets that was expected. They were all tidally locked. Now, if you notice, that upper diagram has dotted lines on the outside edges, which go down to being superimposed over our solar system. And you can see how the distance to Mercury in our solar system puts Mercury way further out, okay, than the planet H would be in the TRAPPIST system. Look at those little rings. That's the entire TRAPPIST system. They're all vastly closer to the star than Mercury is to the sun. Isn't that incredible? Yet 3 of them could be in the habitable zone for that particular star.
Yeah, the green areas are the habitable zones, the Goldilocks zones.
That's right. Yeah. Now, what's interesting is the James Webb's findings for the planet B around TRAPPIST showed that the planet has no atmosphere. There's no atmosphere, and that's kind of expected. Mercury doesn't have an atmosphere, so maybe C also doesn't have an atmosphere. Maybe not even D, for all we know, or maybe D's kind of like Venus. We don't know. And E is a hybrid between a Venus and an Earth. Who knows? So there's tremendous promise here. Now, keep in mind, all right, the one thing, okay, that's interesting is even that closest planet, that B planet, okay, being tidally locked, having no atmosphere, even so, it's still cooler than the surface of Mercury. All right, so it's still cooler than Mercury. It's 200 degrees Celsius, all right, but it is cooler than Mercury's surface, which can melt lead, all right? So let's be honest, okay? If these stars, these little tiny percolators, these little red dwarfs, are in massive abundance, as we think they are in the universe, the most populous star in the universe, we might have lots of TRAPPIST-1 systems with lots of planets around them and potentially lots of life forms. Now, let's imagine that there's life on E, F, and G. What would they look like? Well, E would be hardened for brighter sunlight. F would be probably like potentially Earth life forms, and G might be maybe some Martian life forms if we find them. And the thing about it is, if we look at E, F, and G in particular, I want to go. I want to go see what's there. But the James Webb will do this discovery, So I think that's pretty cool, and so keep in mind that closest planet is still 200 degrees Celsius. Okay. Earth is about 15 Celsius on its day side. So you can see there's a vast difference, but then again, get out into that habitable zone, things change. The more planets you have, the more possibilities you have for life. Isn't that cool? And that really shows how small these stars really are. There's actually been a red dwarf that's been found that's literally just slightly larger than Jupiter. Now, no, that doesn't mean Jupiter was almost a star. I hear that a lot too. That's not true. Jupiter is nowhere near massive enough to be a star. It would have to be 80 times more massive. So if you could add lots of mass to Jupiter and compact it, then the core could possibly be hot enough to become a red dwarf, a star. But you'd have to be 80 times more massive. So Jupiter is nowhere near that, nor will it ever be. So even if you took all the planets in the solar system and threw them into Jupiter, Jupiter would not become a star.
I wonder if Webb has looked at Wolf 359 yet.
Wolf 359, yeah, it's an actual, a really cool star.
Well, that's where Starfleet met the Borg.
That's right. And I wonder if you're going to see the Borg cubes out there. Yeah, that's right. I am Locutus of Borg, That's fun. But you're right. All right. So now the other thing that the James Webb has done, which is really fascinating. And first of all, let me just show you one more thing. This is just a dayside comparison so you can see. Okay, if you look at the dayside comparison, TRAPPIST 1b is the one that was measured. Okay, and the model and the actual are two different things. All right, this is our Earth. I mentioned how it compares. And this diagram probably won't show you much, so I'll just remove it and continue talking about the other next thing because that's probably better. Now, we're not confined to looking at exoplanets with James Webb, nor stars, nor nebulae. Sometimes we look at our own planets in our solar system, and we did that. And this is Uranus with the James Webb.
Ooh,
look at the rings. Those are the rings that Uranus has around it. Yeah. Yeah. Now, the right side looks a little bright. You see that?
Yes.
That's actually a polar region. Now, keep in mind, Uranus is 89 degrees on its side. It's almost right over on its side. So the polar region is very much brighter. And then you'll see a bright spot just left of center. That's actually a cloud complex that's actually quite bright, And then to the left of that, just near the limit of the planet on the left edge, you can see another bright spot. And that's yet another cloud complex that's very bright. So you see, we also point the telescope at our own planets. Isn't that cool?
That's very cool. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's science that has gone along with this that show people, but it's odd, though, the way the rings are versus the angle of the planet relative to the plane of the solar system.
I have a kind of maybe a dumb question, but if the planet was knocked and it got tipped over or something, why wouldn't, I mean, it seems like maybe the polar ice caps could have got knocked closer to the sun. Why wouldn't they have formed back over it changed the surface of the planet and the polar cap's gone away from the sun? Does that make sense?
It's a gas giant.
Yeah, first of all, it's a gas giant, so they're very cold clouds, is what you.
So that's not ice that we're seeing there, that white.
Well, actually, it could be ices, but aerosol ices up in the upper atmosphere, very, very cold clouds, and you're probably going to see them all over the face of Uranus too at the upper altitudes. Cool. Just like in Titan, you're going to see, even where Saturn is, you're going to see ices in the atmosphere at altitude. So
right.
But the bottom line is, what kind of ices are you going to see? Probably ammonia ices, maybe Titan. You might see some methane ices, up high. Titan's very cold around Saturn as well, and that's a lot closer to the sun. So Uranus is very cold, obviously. And the interesting thing about these planets, they're gas giants, right? But the interesting thing has always been, if you think about it, the deeper you go into the atmosphere, the warmer it's getting. So is it possible you'll reach a happy medium where the temperature is not so hot, not so cold, and maybe enough sunlight's coming in for airborne, aerial life to form that maybe is photosynthetic, plankton of the air, possibly.
Cool.
So there has been some discussion about that actually in the upper atmosphere, believe it or not, of Venus. And that's something that they're talking about recently, is a possibility that maybe there's aerial life forms in the Venusian atmosphere as well, because it's that not so hot, not so cold, and it's outside of the acid clouds enough that extremophile life that handles extremes can exist. Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And some ideas about terraforming Venus involved us taking blue-green algae and seeding Venus's atmosphere with blue-green algae.
Yeah.
They would start converting the atmosphere there and get it to turn transparent eventually and cool off.
Yeah. Keep in mind, too, what happened with Venus, right? Venus and the Earth were very much alike in the early days. Venus' atmosphere is 90 times as dense as ours, and ours, of course, is not, right? Well, why did Earth change and Venus didn't? Two reasons. Number one, Venus is closer to the sun, so it's a lot hotter. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that affected what could happen on Venus. Second, Venus, because it was so hot, it couldn't rain. All right. The pressure, when water would try to rain out of the sky, it would just get vaporized by the tremendous heat, and there's just no way it could rain. And so the density of our atmosphere was drained through rain. Okay, drain the density through rain, and that's exactly what happened here. It rained here for probably a couple million years straight. So being a weatherman would be a real boring job. What's tonight, Phil? Rain.
Possible rain. Yeah.
Rain. Yeah. Well, when's it going to stop? I don't know. Back to you, Tom. I mean, and it would just be that kind of miserable kind of thing. So
I'm sorry. There's some thought too that there are still active volcanoes going on Venus.
Yeah, there's some lava flows. You're right, Daryl. Yeah.
And the gases from the volcanoes, are helping make Venus's atmosphere what it is.
True, and there would have to be an awful lot of them to counter what the planet would ordinarily want to try to do with the gases and recycle them and do a cycle, methane cycle, and so forth. But on the Earth, we have active volcanoes all the time. As a matter of fact, I think I've shown this. I've shown you guys many times. I mean, I'm trying to see now if I got it here. Yeah, here it is. Right here is the currently erupting volcanoes in as of 2021. Okay, there's tons of them out there. Okay, but you think about it. Okay, look for your town. Okay, if you think about it, they're ones like La Palma, Urta Ale. Okay, in Africa, El Doño Lengai. That's actually a silicate volcano. The lavas are very, very much cooler. They'd still kill you, of course, but they glow red. But they're actually silicates. It's called a baby. It's called a toy volcano by scientists because it's so much fun to explore. And then you have, of course, the big stratovolcanoes that can wipe you off the earth, like the ones in Russia and so forth. And no, we have Popocatépetl in Mexico. Okay, we have Sitkin up in the west, up in the northwest, the United States, up there by Alaska, and there's so many others. And of course, Kilauea. These are volcanoes that are in constant eruption, right? They haven't stopped, and they continue to pump out stuff. In fact, in some countries, they actually take their garbage and throw it into the volcano because hey, there it goes, poof, it's
That's
gone.
a great idea.
It is. Either that or launch it to space and throw it into the sun, right?
Oh my goodness.
Some of the big volcanoes over in Indonesia, I guess, New Guinea, that area. I mean, they have had titanic explosions in the past that have certainly affected the climate here on Earth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was
Super
back in the
volcano.
early 300 something AD, I want to say. A big one went off in Indonesia, and there was a huge explosion. I forget, Tonga, like 60,000 years ago that almost wiped out humanity. It affected the atmosphere so much.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And right here in the United States, right north of Tara, don't tell her, about 2 hours, is this volcano right here.
It's the big one.
Yeah. This volcano, really cool. This is up in Flagstaff, north of Flagstaff. This is Sunset Crater. And if you notice, the side is all dark black. What is that? That's volcanic ash.
Cinders, right?
Yeah, cinders. And the trees have reclaimed it a little bit. The last eruption, I think, was 5,000 years ago. And the area is all volcanic. Okay, I took these pictures when I visited there. You see that big, giant, craggy block on the top right?
Is that a camel?
I know it looks like one, right? That was actually thrown from the volcano.
Oh,
A mile or two away, thrown by the volcano. It was a big, giant lava block, and it landed here.
Wow.
All this stuff you see on the ground, I have bags of it here. Shh, don't tell the Park Service. And it's really thick and like granular lava. It's called tephra, right? And this is what it looks like when you're walking on it. Look at that.
So
as far
pretty.
as the eye can see, it's tephra as far as the eye can see. Yep. So these are vast tephra fields, and here's another example. Check this out. It almost looks like you're looking at another planet.
Mm-hmm.
But think about it. That's several miles away, and the volcano coated that liberally with many feet of this stuff. So volcanoes do spew lots of stuff into the atmosphere, and their eruptions will cause changes in climate change, as Daryl pointed out. Okay, here's an eruption. You can see sulfur dioxide, hydrochloric acid, and ash. Okay, and the red cloud on the left. It interacts with the sulfur dioxide interacts with water vapor, makes H2SO4, which is known as sulfuric acid, and then it just you get all kinds of cascading things happening as a result, and so you really got to be careful when you talk about volcanoes and how they might affect your planet, because they do cause planet-wide things. Yellowstone, as we know, is a supervolcano, and it did erupt in the past. And that Wyoming is pretty far from Nebraska, but in Nebraska, there's 3 feet of ash beds from a previous Yellowstone supervolcano eruption. 3 feet.
There's still one active volcano here in Colorado.
Oh, what's the name of that volcano?
Dotsero, Dotsero. It's it hasn't gone off in a long time, but they still call it active, and
they're monitoring it seismically, I bet.
It's west of Vail, up in the mountains.
Okay, move east.
And, yeah.
Wow.
Also, there's the Spanish Peaks down south of here, which are 2 handsome mountains you can see from 100 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
They are the volcanic plugs left over from volcanoes a long time ago. There's some really interesting terrain down there.
Yeah, well, I didn't mention
Devil's Dykes, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't mention the San Francisco peaks up at Flagstaff, but those are stratovolcanoes up there. And they're a recreational area now. Just go have fun, guys. Don't worry. They're not going to erupt, as far as we know, right? So that's pretty cool. And it's only 2 hours from you, Tara. Hour and a half if you go fast. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry, my dog was barking. Hey, Bill had a question. Could Yellowstone cause a new ice age if it erupted, the super volcano?
interesting possibility. It depends how much material gets thrown up into the atmosphere. Actually, one of the later studies of Yellowstone shows that it may not ever do a supervolcanic eruption again, which is very comforting. But it's not been peer reviewed as far as I know. It may soon be. But if it throws a lot of stuff up into the air, then yes, we could get a nuclear winter effect. You know, and that could cause an extinction level event if it was a large enough eruption, because enough of the food chain would die. Humans would figure out a way, but the animals they depend on probably would not, and thus we would be in trouble.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, when the big one went off in the early 300 something AD, I think it was, it caused famine around the world.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
2 minutes, Mark. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Get your stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
When
George Carlin used to say.
Mount St. Helens went off back in 1980, I guess.
Yeah.
It had effects here. I know, like an idiot, I got up to go to work the next morning, went out to my truck, and the windshield was covered with a real fine gray dust. And like an idiot, I turned my windshield wipers on. And
it ruined your window.
It did instantly. It went scritch like that. My windshield was toast.
That's funny.
Oh, that's terrible.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some big ones, some big eruptions lately. I mean, one of them was caught from space. You saw that one.
That was
on the middle of the ocean.
Was that the Tonga eruption?
Was that Tonga?
I can't think of its name. It was an island.
It was Hunga Tonga Hunga Hapai.
There you go.
Yeah.
What he said.
Hunga Tonga Hunga Hapai. That's correct.
Cool.
I remember that now. Yeah. And it changed the face of the island forever. The island no longer looked like it did beforehand. So just understand these volcanoes are very powerful, and they could shape whether life could evolve on a planet. So when the James Webb looks at a planet, we are also going to look for signatures of other chemicals, other materials in the atmosphere, signatures, if you would, that could indicate that the atmosphere is not livable. Things that could indicate a volcanic atmosphere, things like that. Yeah.
That's
So
great.
very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're out of time, I believe. Can you believe it? Yeah.
I know it's that time again, folks. Well, look at you've wasted another perfectly good 2 hours with us. Thank you very much for coming out. I want to thank you, Tara. Thank you, Daryl, for coming. And we will see you all again next time on SkyTour Radio. And remember, join our Patreon. Go to skytourlive.org and check it out. See you soon.
Good night, everybody.